Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto and Tractor Diagnostics. This is my neighbor's 1970s International Harvester, I think 574 model, 4-cylinder. We've worked on this one before. If you remember, we replaced the burnt exhaust valve, so the engine runs pretty smoothly. No knocking, runs fine, but the customer complaint is when he gives it throttle or puts it under load, it just stalls out. Okay, he sent the carburetor out to be professionally rebuilt. It took them a month. He got it back. He said it runs even worse. Yep. So where do we begin with this thing? You see here I have the timing light out. So I want to verify ignition timing before going to the fuel system. Ignition timing is easy to verify. We just flash the light at the harmonic balancer down there. There's a little spot. So let me show you what it does. He said he had to drive it here, he had to have the choke on to make it here, and that tells me it's severely lean. But let's verify the ignition timing first. So let's fire it up. I mean, it fires up instantly. And if you slowly give it throttle, it'll rev up. Give it more throttle. Okay? So let's give it a little bit of speed. Flash our timing light down there. Probably won't be able to pick it up with the camera. So ignition timing is set at 20 degrees before top dead center. According to spec, that's fine. Now we're going to focus on the fuel system, see what the heck is up with this carburetor. Alright, first thing I did was drain the carburetor bowl. Here's how much fuel we have in the bowl. That seems to be reasonable. Now let's crank it and see how long it takes to start up. I want to see how fast this fuel pump fills it up. So let's count the seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that was pretty quick. Let's loosen that up again and drain it into here. So I'll mark the level 1 and then we'll see if the bowl filled up quickly enough. Alright, let's drain the bowl again. Okay. And the level is, twice from my first mark. So that bowl is filling plenty fast. We don't have a fuel feed problem to the carburetor. It has to be an internal carburetor problem. So let's take this unit off, and I don't have the manual for it, but it should be pretty simple. There's just an idle screw right here that's supposed to be one turn out, but idle's fine. We have a problem with the transition to the high speed, more load, like problem with the main jet, something like that. So let's get this unit off of here. Alright, so carburetor time. This thing is pretty simple. So here you have the choke plate, and then it's an updraft carburetor. Here's the actual throttle controlled by the governor, and you can see in there's like a brass, almost like a nozzle. That is the main jet, and then the pilot screw right here. There's a couple, see that little hole? That's the pilot opening for the idle mixture. So when we give it gas, there should be a lot more fuel coming out of that main jet to maintain the engine speed. So let's take it apart. There's only 4 screws, and see what's hiding in the bowl. Alright, let's pop these 4 screws out. So we're just worried about this transition and high load mixture. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Alrighty. Well, let me take a close look at these components. There's still quite a bit of gas in the bowl. So this is a pretty primitive carburetor compared to, like, you know, even a motorcycle CV style. So I checked all the passages, took all the jets out. So this is the main nozzle, if you will. So that's not what meters the fuel. What meters the fuel is this thing. It's actually an electric little shutoff valve, and that's the little, that's the main jet. That's how much total fuel max the engine can consume. So it goes in here. So it goes, you know, from the bowl through those passages, through the little shutoff valve into this bore, and then, you know, the main jet goes through here. You can see the holes on the side, they're all clear. That's to help aerate the fuel so it's more of a mist when it comes out instead of a raw stream of gasoline. So the air is metered by this little hole, and it mixes and comes out of the nozzle. For the idle circuit, the fuel is drawn from this little hole through the idle fuel jet, that little guy there, and then I took the idle screw out, a couple little holes in the bore that let the idle mixture into the bore. So if the idle mixture works fine, that means there's fuel, you know, coming through here and to the idle circuit. So why are we not getting enough fuel on the main circuit? Well, a couple variables. I mean, I don't know if anyone's messed with the float level. So the float sits here like this. If it's a little tweaked, I guess it could close the needle prematurely and the fuel level just going to be too low. What other variables? This little electric solenoid, we can bench test it, make sure it completely opens. I don't know if they messed with the main jet size right here. I don't see why they would have, why they would have it, because the tractor ran perfect when we did the engine rebuild. So what changed? My neighbor said it was kind of a slow progression, getting worse and worse, and then took the carburetor to get rebuilt, and now it's even worse. So I don't see any obvious issues here. We can fill the bowl with, the marked level of gasoline, see where the float rides, but you can kind of see where the level likes to be. I don't know what to say here. So quick test of the fuel solenoid. It's definitely, retracts, and the fuel passage is clear. So not exactly, this is definitely not our problem. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. So this little Venturi thing is not symmetrical. It's closer, or narrower on one end than the other. So which way does it go? The way that I found it was like this, and then this was kind of like that, and you could see there's a gap between the Venturi and the carburetor body. Is that correct? Well, let's think about this. what does this Venturi actually do or perform? So you can see in the board there are other air passages that, you know, that's for like the air passage for mixing the fuel, and also the vent for the bowl. So what if we put this thing upside down? And is there a mark? See, what I think is on the fresh air side, this is the vacuum side, this is supposed to seal up top, and then the air for whatever the extra passage is supposed to pass from the bottom, not from this way, from this gap. I think you're supposed to put this in here like so, because it looks like it fits a lot better, doesn't it? There's no more gap. There's the Venturi. And then does it sit nicely in the bottom half here? I think it does. I mean, that's all loose. But I think the gasket is supposed to seal this lip to there. Let's see what happens. I'm just gonna, you know, put it together the other way. We didn't change anything else. Seems to be pretty happy right there. So let's put it together and fire the tractor up. Alright, only took a minute. Carburetor's back on. Let's crank it over, fill it with some gas. Moment of truth. Fixed. No parts required. The professional carburetor rebuilders installed that little Venturi upside down. Unbelievable. No service manuals required, just a little common sense there. My neighbor's gonna be so thrilled. This thing runs perfectly now. And that's it. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So I talked to the owner of the tractor and asked him, what was the original problem? Why did the carburetor go to this shop to get rebuilt? And obviously the rebuild didn't go so well because they installed that Venturi upside down. Now he had a very lean condition. He said he was fouling plugs and the tractor was running rich. So I did take it for a test drive. So initially the throttle response is great, but it just starts putting out that black smoke, like running really rich, especially somewhere in the mid-throttle range. That can only be due to the main jet being too big. And this fuel solenoid, I'm sure it's not original. He said he's had problems with it. And the main jet is actually screwed into the tip of the fuel solenoid. It's this tiny little thing, but what is the orifice size? That looks like a pretty giant hole there for, to limit that fuel. So I took a measurement of the orifice with calipers and it's oh no, did I lose it? Okay, found it. So the size of that hole is about 0.075 inches, and that's apparently it's way too big. I looked on forums, they say the stock jet size is 0.05. The only thing we can do with this one, short of ordering a new one, and the part numbers, they're not easy to pinpoint the right stock jet. What I want to do is fill this with solder and run a 1/16 inch drill bit through there. That'll at least bring this down to 0.0625. That's 1/16 of an inch from this 0.75 or 0.075. So let's do that, pop it back in the tractor, and it should run decent, but we'll still need to find an OEM main jet. Alright, we're using the Hakko soldering station set to 600 degrees, and I screwed the jet into this block of wood to hold it securely. Now let's see if we can heat it up enough. Get some solder in the hole, and then we'll drill it to 1/16 inch. You don't want to clog the actual screw portion of it. Okay, let's try to drill that out. Alright, 1/16 inch drill bit. Let's see what happens. Nothing to lose. Make sure it's going down the middle. Yep, that looks pretty good. Alright, so now that jet size has decreased to, this is so old school, drilling jets, 0.62. Alright, let's try it on the tractor. Next morning, let's do a cold start on the International here. Choke. Look at the throttle response. Still warming up. So it still seems to be a bit on the rich side. I'll talk to my neighbor, see if we can source an OEM jet, but it's definitely better than, you know, after the soldering. Definitely happier. So it's usable, but it's still blowing a little black smoke. And that was his initial complaint, so the carb rebuild didn't do him any favors. So one more quick thing, we can try to make this jet hole smaller, is to use a paper clip that's around 0.05. That should be the stock size. So I'm going to melt some solder and just stick the paper clip in there and pull it out, and hopefully the hole will remain, you know, this size, and put it back in the tractor, try it out. Alright, so you have to keep in mind the paper clip was coated in this plastic coating and the coating burned off. So I'm using a bigger paper clip with 0.042 diameter, and now just basically solder and twist until the solder solidifies. Now this is a nice fit through the jet. Let's put it in the tractor to see how it runs. Alright, fuel solenoid's back in. It's gonna crank for a little while. Wow, that was fast. Too lean now? Huh. Alright, now I've enlarged the hole to 0.55, so 55 thousandths. Let's see. I like it. We can dry it around and hopefully it won't smoke too much. Alright, we're doing fantastic here, so I'm going to give it some throttle. No black smoke, amazing throttle response. I think we're dialed in. So 55 thousandths on the main jet. Running, Harry? How's the tractor running? Good?
I'm not going to be on YouTube right now.
Oh yeah. This is the verification of repair.
Hey, people, this is how you can pay for some of your jobs at Ivan's, okay?
No charge for this.
This and chocolate chip cookies.
Yep. Tractor sounds like new. Big pile of horse manure.